Hello and happy day. Today I want to talk about the conscious and subconscious mind and their relationship and how they can work together and sometimes how they don't work together. But sorry, to start off, we want to jump in and remember that the conscious mind is where we perceive. It is our ability to think. It is our ability to be aware. And the conscious mind can accept or reject anything. It is what we perceive the outside world with, yet it is also what we can create inside our mind. So yes, the five sensory inputs we perceive through the conscious mind. And when we receive information, when we hear something, we can decide if we want to accept or reject that information. And the information that we accept is impressed upon the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind accepts everything. So whether it is real from the outside world or whether we create it in our mind, the subconscious mind accepts it. It is what holds all our habitual behaviors. It is what holds our beliefs. It is what holds our self-image. The subconscious mind is the driving force of which we live. So what we want to talk about is the relationship between the two, because ideally the subconscious mind is working for and with us when we're not using the conscious mind. So let us just consider a little lever, like a little lever between the two. And if we have a fulcrum point that is right in the middle, it's pretty even, right? So it's kind of they're balanced, they're in between. And so we want to think about the flow of energy between the two. And so at this point, it's pretty even. But if we are not using our conscious mind, then we would say that the fulcrum point is over here. So when it's over here, who's got the leverage? The subconscious mind has the leverage. So it's pushing down and it's causing it to tip, and it has the power. And so the point that I want to bring up and talk on this is, so whenever we find ourselves, we consciously say, so let's say we spend 2 hours scrolling through social media. We consciously say, I'm not going to do that tomorrow. I'm not going to allow that to happen. But then we find ourselves the next day doing the same exact thing. Why? Because the conscious mind is where our habits are stored. And so we see that the subconscious mind has the leverage and it's tilted and it's taking control. And so when we are not using the consciousness, our subconscious mind is winning. And so what I want to point out is that the subconscious mind, when it's not working for us, so although we say consciously, I'm not going to do that tomorrow, the subconscious mind can be considered the adversary, right? Because that is what is getting in our way. There's nothing outside of us. I mean, the phone is there to kind of attract our attention, but there's nothing outside of us that is making us do that. It is all within ourselves. It is our subconscious mind. That is where the subconscious programming resides. That is where the programming of our mind resides. So we also know the opposite is true. When we are using our conscious mind, then it had, all right, this is a little funky line, but when we are using our conscious mind, it ultimately has power. We know that we have willpower, but also how challenging and struggling can it be to force ourselves to do a thing? It's like how much of a struggle do we find? Like we're almost itching to grab the phone. It's like, oh, I just want to do it. Or if there's something that we usually do, like if it's something else. Let's say we eat Snickers and we just like, oh, I really want to have a Snickers. The subconscious mind is saying, eat the Snickers, while the conscious mind is trying to fight it with our will, saying, don't eat the Snickers, you don't want that, you don't need that. And there's a battle between the two. So what we don't want is a battle. What we do want is our subconscious mind to work in favor of our conscious mind, so that whenever we are unconscious in a sense, whenever we are not using our willpower, that the subconscious mind is doing what we want it to do. So this is why one of the best aspects of meditation is that self-awareness. First, becoming aware of what is our subconscious mind habitually pulling us to do? What are the tendencies that I go through that I'm not consciously deciding to do? It's like that 45-minute mark of scrolling. It's like I did not consciously decide to do this. After that fifth Snicker, you're like, I did not consciously. It was almost, I was just out of my mind, out of body experience, and just found myself eating these Snickers or scrolling through the social media feed or whatever the habit may be that we don't want. There is a battle between the two. So that's why we want the subconscious mind to be in favor. So the art of meditation is so beautiful because it allows us, one, just meditation not being just the moments where we sit down, but the awareness as a whole, the full use of our consciousness. So whenever we are able to see, first become aware, we can then identify, this does not serve me. I do not want this power to be tilting me in a way that this is where the I resides, that I do not want to be a part of. So when we practice meditation and we practice our ability to separate ourself from the act and to observe ourself, we can then allow ourselves to reprogram the mind. So I jumped ahead a little bit. So the idea of meditation in the actual sitting down practice, when we calm our mind, when we silence thoughts. So yes, this has the ability to consciously think, but we do receive thoughts from our subconscious mind, which is why we tend to think the same thoughts we've been thinking for the past 10 weeks. Or let's say there's somebody that you're having an argument with. You're not consciously deciding to have those thoughts of anger or vengeful thoughts. Your subconscious mind has been brewing this idea. So we receive thoughts from our subconscious, but this is the mind that creates the thoughts and receives the thoughts. But it is this that we want to get this in harmony, so they work together, right? So whenever we get into that state of meditation, when we learn to quiet our mind, when we get beyond thought, when we are not allowing the constant chatter of our mind, when we're not allowing the habitual thinking to take place, so let's just imagine the mind as a whole, we are now able to sit above the thoughts. So the thought waves are here. We are able to sit above and not be affected by the thoughts. So we're not getting tugged back and forth by the constant chatter of our mind. So it is at this point, this is where we become highly effective in changing our subconscious mind, because now we are above the thought. There is no thought taking place when we're in this calm state of mind, in this meditative state. So now we have the ability to decide, this is what I want to impress upon my subconscious mind. This is what I want to program within me. This is who I want to be. When we have those I am statements, when we have those firm convictions of who we are and what we are to be, remember, our subconscious mind must accept what is impressed upon it. And what is impressed upon it is not just the thought of, I'm not going to do that tomorrow. It is when we are in complete harmony with the idea, when we are in complete harmony with the feeling of it, when we can feel the reality of it, which is why we want to get above the chattering thoughts, and we sit above and we're in that calm place, we're in that void, and we can then impress that what we want into the calm waters. So it is seeing ourselves from above, and it is seeing our fertile land beneath us that we then impart the desire into our hearts, that we impart the desire into the subconscious mind, where that seed begins to grow and blossom into that of which we want, which ultimately allows us the power that we want when our subconscious mind is in control, and then we have leverage that we want without having to consciously exert our will to achieve that what we want. Hope this explanation was helpful, because if we can get the grasp on this, we can get an understanding that it is not just the conscious mind that needs to be in control. We want to work in harmony so that the subconscious mind is not an adversary, but so that the subconscious mind is a powerful servant, and it is a diligent and working warrior for us. That is a companion, not an adversary. And this simple practice of being able to calm the mind and then learning to impart our desires onto our subconscious mind is, in a sense, the key to freedom, because we are not having to use the fire of our will at every waking moment to get what we want, when we can just allow it to flow through, and from us. So that's that. Hope this helps, and I shall talk to you soon.